to focus so much on the inventory part, but on the monetization part is what we're going to talk about. So, yeah, why don't you guys quickly introduce yourselves, your companies again? Maybe we'll start at the end.
Okay. I'm Manuel Maese. I'm the Director of Business Development for Location Labs. Location Labs is a behind-the-scenes location services provider and platform provider. We're not known by our own name. We launch services with large telcos like Telefónica, we have a history of what we start, or Sprint, AT&T, Verizon Wireless, T-Mobile, Orange, France, hopefully, so on.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Alberto Benbunan, and I am the founder and managing director of Mobile Dreams Factory. Mobile Dreams Factory is a full-service mobile marketing agency. We're working with brands like L'Oreal, Procter & Gamble, Repsol, Mao, Burger King, etc., to help them to connect brands and consumers using the mobile. So we are talking to the marketing directors. We're helping them in this connection between brands and consumers, and that's our elevator pitch.
Hello, I'm Ínigo Amoribieta. I am the CEO of Groupon Spain. For those that don't know, Groupon is the leading local e-commerce company. We launched a new business model 5 years ago to allow SMEs to do marketing campaigns online. We've been in Spain for about 3 years. We're present in 40 cities, and we work both with those original customers, that were the SMEs, the restaurants, the hairdressers, and as well as some very large brands here in Spain. In fact, tomorrow, I shouldn't be telling you this, but you'll see a very large brand, and if you want to go to the cinema, you have a big deal on that. We basically work both in our online platform. Also, we have a very strong mobile revenue stream from our mobile devices.
And you know me now. So apparently when you come from Canada, they make you work really hard. So I decided the whole panel should be drinking beer at this point. So we're going to talk about a little bit about monetization now. Like how do we actually make money from some of these platforms? What are some interesting models? I want to start the conversation with when we look across the ecosystem right now of platforms that are emerging around location and mobile. In many cases, we see this kind of split between what we would refer to as search-based or local search-based activity versus social discovery. And I think, certainly you guys play in that category. Location Labs empowers some of that, and as an agency, I think you have the opportunity to play in both areas. But do you see different models emerging from a business model perspective, on the search side versus the discovery side? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think Groupon is a company that's probably playing both sides of that fence. We probably started off as being a discovery-based company. We would propose people plans or things, alternatives they had never thought about. We strengthened that discovery opportunity via location information. So right now, today, a lot of people used to tell us, why do you send the same email out to all of your users? That's no longer the case. Each email that goes out from us today is personalized based on a number of factors around the user, one of them being location. Where does he live? If we know that information, where is the deal? So those emails that you receive today from Groupon are personalized. Where are we moving to? Has also a very strong component linked to, as we look more towards ways to pull traffic, is that search mode. So if you go to our US site, you will find that you can actually search for services based on what you're looking at that time. So I think we're starting to see different business models, and we are trying to play to both sides of the fence.
I think that it's a brand that it's depending on what you have, which are your assets. If you have a big database, you can do that part of sending the emails or creating that. All the trends are going, and in my humble opinion, I think that we're going to the contextuality of knowing many different variables from the users, not only the location, but also if you are next to a store or if you want to buy something, if it's lunchtime or things like that. So it's more or less what Groupon now it's going to be. Like bringing deals in according to contextual variables. So it's something that you will not do, something that will appear in your mobile phone because you meet some criteria. So I think that that will be part of the future, not only for Groupon and Groupon Now, and the vision of Groupon Now, but also in the m-commerce. When we talk about m-commerce and the retail, how you are going to drive traffic to the store, how you are going to increase or make this upsell, you need to play with this part. If you are in a retail, you have the necessity, or you have the need for a product. If you have the money and if you have the product, why you cannot buy Coca-Cola instead of Pepsi-Cola? So that will be where the example will go. So knowing this information, not only location, more other variables will be the trends. That's a part of the data that we need to monitor.
I agree. In our case, because Commission Labs has been doing location for 11 years, we started with search, but we're moving towards models of context-aware discovery of depending on your time, the time of day, your profile, or information that we may or may not have about you, and your needs. You can get different discovery messages or discovery impacts.
Maybe just a kind of slightly related question, and I know we didn't prepare this one, but one of the things that we see a lot in the US is it's pretty easy now to push a mobile coupon to the phone. There's thousands of ways to do it, platforms emerging. It's easy to get in there, but where it tends to fall apart is on the redemption side, because we have a lot of issues with point-of-sale systems that aren't upgraded and can't handle the scanning the barcode, or just screen resolution causing too much glare on the scanning, or even just the frontline staff, like the person working at the front desk hasn't been trained properly. When I show up and say, here's my phone, and I get 50% off today, they don't know what to do, right? How have you been dealing with these things here in Spain? I can tell you one of the ways that we've seen to get around it in North America is we, as the association, we put together the deal between Foursquare and American Express. So what happens is if you have a Foursquare account and an Amex account, you just link those accounts together offline, and then when you go to a restaurant or a store that has a deal on Foursquare, as long as you pay with your Amex card, the savings just comes off on the bill automatically. You don't have to show your phone, scan anything, do anything. How do you see the redemption issue here?
For us, the user side isn't been that much of a problem, because through our application you already have, if you've bought before, you have your profile all filled up, so it's just one click and you're purchasing the coupon. So on the user side, I think we're probably closer up to par to the US. Our problem has been more on the SME side. I mean, we work with some very small companies here. I just read the report the other day where 85% of SMEs in Spain are not online yet. And yet, do we need to make them do an online campaign, have redemption? How do we get around that? Is we provide those tools for free. So if a partner wants to play with us and he doesn't have a website, we build it for them for free. If they don't have the bar scanner to scan one of our coupons, we provide that for free. It's part of the tools that you need to do to push this technology into the market, and you need to invest in that. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with the few ones that are already invested in it. So you need to push technology into them. So I think we brought technology to quite a bit of restaurants and hair salons and beauty parlors.
And the revenue model still works for you, even though you have to have that capital cost?
Yes. I mean, really? Obviously.
Wow.
I mean, if you look at us, we like to say, and we do say we're the most expensive in our space, despite the fact that we're the leader, because we're also making a lot of investment in the back end. So if I look at my team, yes, there's a strong percentage of them dedicated to sales, but there's also a lot of people on the back end.
So is there a loyalty that comes from those customers because you've made that investment? Like they're not likely to use or try other platforms at the same time?
I mean, we see partners, and in fact, once they play with them, as we bring them the most volume, it's quite cumbersome for a lot of these businesses to administratively handle lots of coupons, lots of platforms, lots of things on where to check whether it's valid or not. So the fact that you can go with one provider that has the largest database of users in Spain and brings you the largest volume, for them, I mean, what we always tell them is focus on your business, focus on your sales, and we allow them to do that through technology.
In our case, it's a little bit different. Well, personally, I have been working in the MMA, the Mobile Marketing Association, global, is the chairman of the mobile coupons company, and we release many guidelines, white papers, and all of this about mobile coupons. And right now we're helping 5 different retailers, brands, how to drive traffic to the stores and how to convert this intention in coupons, or how to use the coupons effectively. One of the things that I always talk about mobile coupons is that we have 6 steps in the coupon, the 6 R's of the mobile coupon. The first is release. You as a brand, if you don't take it to the mobile coupon. Let's take a free standard insert, the coupons that you get on the Sunday newspaper. If you release as a brand, or Procter & Gamble or Coca-Cola, the first step is release. You release these coupons. The second step is retrieve. You as a user cut the coupons and go to the stores. That's the relay. Then you have the redeem. The point of sale needs to do something with the redemption. That's a part of that. It's a critical part, the redemption. Then you have reconcile, and the last one is redesign. So you have these 6 R's. The critical part is the redemption. How to do something, but not only because users or because you will do fraud in the mobile coupon. It's because the cashiers or the franchise owners will do this fraud. Here in Spain, we have some cases of retails that the cashiers, the person behind the cash, they are doing the fraud. They are taking the 10% that you are, for example, to fill your tank, your car, gasoline. I have a motorcycle, so if I go with a motorcycle to a gas station, I use this 10% coupon. The cashier will tell, okay, here you have $10. Less 10%, you will get your euro. But as they have many times during the night, they reverse my buy. They put in Ínigo, they buy $100, put $10. So right now, this $1 or €1 becomes $10 that the cashiers, or €9 that the cashier can put in. So that's a main problem. It's fraud. And when you don't control this redemption, when you don't have a physical paper or digital connection between the point of sales and the user, you will not have this security that someone is doing fraud.
We sometimes see the opposite though. Like we did a project in Africa, in Nigeria, with the police force. And it used to be, before mobile, that everybody would get paid in cash, okay? And so you have the chief of police that would get the big envelope for payroll on payday, and then he would take his 10% out, and then hand everybody, all the police officers their pay. But they never knew that they were missing this 10%. But now they switched the entire payments to mobile. There's no cash anymore, and now everybody all of a sudden they think they got a raise. But it's because the chief of police is not taking his cut anymore. So I think you can have some positive stories too around that. Manuel, you have an interesting offering around family tracking. Maybe can you tell us a little bit about that?
That's right. So that's our most widespread so far product. We have hundreds of thousands. I would say above 500,000 subscribers to this service worldwide, mostly in the US, with the 3 largest carriers, for families to locate their children. It's oriented to parents locate their tweens or teenagers, even though they can also locate their elderly parents. And it's oriented towards the smallest of social groups, which is the family, with a permission system and so on. We have now incorporated a bunch of other services towards this parental control realm, which is basically using not only location but also context, and so parents can get into how phones can be used by teenagers, so that they are able to benefit from the usage of a smartphone like everybody else, but also are kept away from the dangers of using too much of the smartphone that we have nowadays, especially if you're a teenager with social networks or games addictions or problems concentrating at school. So during school hours, during night hours, your phone can be turned off or only allowing certain applications.
Is this available here in Spain now?
In Spain, what we have available with the key SoLoMo Start is the family locator service. for a family to locate up to 5 children or members or spouses. In the case of the parental controls, that's not coming here yet. And other countries in Europe are still starting now to launch. The US is now the biggest country we have.
So I mean, we talked a little bit about privacy in one of the earlier discussions, and I think we've agreed that it comes down to about a value exchange. Obviously, with something like family tracking, there's a real value there, right? That people see in that. And I think that's why you can monetize it in that way. But any other views from the panel around the privacy issue and kind of what that looks like?
I have first-hand experience of how difficult it was to adapt our US service into a European context. Not just Spain, but Spain and the European directive on privacy, data privacy, made us change the service very much here for our launch in Spain. And that was a big pain in the neck. So much so that to a point, legislation or too much regulation can cripple the actual use of the service. But yes, we are obviously very careful with local laws about data privacy, location, and so on. I like very much the quote from, I think it was Rich before, about how Apple, or also Android, and other people have to now put some value before the authorization to use location. Yes, before we ask you for permission to use location, we explain to you what you're going to gain by this.
I think in the brand's perspective, I think that the privacy, it's more about control from the user's perspective. So the users right now, we did a focus group and we found that 76% of the users wants to know and to control what they're going to receive, where they're going to receive, which information they're going to share, when they're going to share it, etc. But less than 4% really control it. So they want to have the control. They want to have, one click in their application, or one SMS that they can send, or one link in the page. Whatever they can say, I don't want to share my information to Coca-Cola, or I don't want to share my location to any of the different users. Even if you already agree to give your location. But that's part of the perspective of the user. The user wants control, but at the end they are not controlling. And they want to feel that they are controlling and not the brands are the one that are controlling.
I agree with that for the most part, but I think you still have to leave room for this discovery aspect, right? Where I don't know what I want necessarily, right? And what I want to opt into yet. So I think that somehow we have to allow for that. When we 4 years ago, when we were looking, or I guess 3 years ago now, when we looked at kind of the first year after Foursquare and Goal and all these guys were starting, we looked at the data of who was using it. We saw it was over 80% male, less than 20% female. And when the media took hold of this, they're like, well, women are more concerned about their privacy. They're worried about safety issues and being tracked and stalking and whatever. Now, we look at the same data today, it's 50-50, and some studies more women than men are sharing. So the question is, what's changed? Well, what's changed is that 4 years ago, the campaigns were not valuable and relevant to women. It was things and offers that were optimized to the man. And so Foursquare goes and partners with Jimmy Choo. Says check in here for a chance for free shoes. Women don't care about privacy; they just want shoes.
It's about value. It's about value, and also guilt for the things.
Yeah.
Because Mexico, no one check in Foursquare because they will get kidnapped. So
yeah.
It's about guilt for the things, safety issues, etc. So you have value, you have control, you have transparency, you have many things that you need to consider in order to do privacy or to be privacy aware.
Very good. I'd like to echo something that Manuel said regarding regulation. To give you an experience firsthand, it took us in Groupon over 1 year to bring a technology that was in the US to have these emails personalized. All of because of the regulation. All we were trying to do is provide better service. So provide better emails with more relevant content, just based on the information that we already had from users that they allowed us to use. And yet we couldn't do it. So I don't know if somebody's listening. Probably they're not. But if they are, that puts Europe at a distinct disadvantage. And then we wonder why we don't grow. This is why we don't grow.
It's the same in Germany and other markets.
Absolutely. No, I'm talking about Europe. It's not a Spanish issue. It is a European-wide issue. And then we wonder why, China is able to grow at 8% over the past 20 years, and we consider 3% a great number. So, I'm not advocating for a lack of supervision, but I'm advocating for control and ability to.
Or even you can sue in 20, according to Ley Orgánica de Protección de Datos, you can sue 20, but you cannot sue Facebook because they are using your data. So because they are in the States and